What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Chill, where I, Graham G.S. and Matthews, break down all the original content you watch on the WWE Network as well as on the USA Network. As today we're talking Season 2, Episode 7, the return of Miz and Mrs., entitled Mr. Miz to the Rescue. So this is my second WWE Network and Chill video of the day. You can check out the first one from earlier today, covering the November 9th, 2020 edition of Raw Talk. If you haven't checked it out already, definitely do so. But yeah, Miz and Mrs. also came back last night, actually airing opposite of Raw Talk. I watched Raw Talk live instead, but this aired on the USA Network last night right after Raw, which I didn't know until Miz brought it up during Raw itself. I'm not sure if that was a thing. I always knew the show was coming back on Thursday, which it still is on November 12th, this coming Thursday, I think at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time, if I'm not mistaken. But they actually had 2 episodes go up this week, including the one on Thursday and now this one as well. So kind of a surprise return of the second season. So we are continuing the second season. The second season did come back, or did premiere initially back in January, I think, either January or February. And now this is the continuation of Season 2. So I thought it was a very good episode. I enjoyed it for what it was. Nothing newsworthy, must-see by any means. Kind of a random return to the show, really. Really, it picks up right where it left off. And I always felt with this episode, after watching the last episode that aired all the way back in March, early March, before the pandemic hit, I don't know if they were ever supposed to take Season 2 off and then resume it now. I feel like they were going to do the first half of Season 2 then, and then finish it up in the summer, but then the pandemic may have kind of mixed up their plans a little bit, and now it's coming back on the same day that Total Bellas comes back on this coming Thursday. Well, technically it came back last night, which is what I'm reviewing, but the big grand season premiere is on Thursday. So yeah, it was a good episode, but it feels like it's been a while since we've seen the show, because it has been, but it feels like it was never really supposed to be a 7-month hiatus. It was only supposed to be maybe 3 or 4 months, coming back in July the way that it kind of has the last couple of years before the pandemic likely messed up those plans. But yeah, again, the episode is called Mr. Miz to the Rescue. The very first thing we see in the episode, and the only margeux we get on this episode, is in the opening, when we see Miz fixing a dog cage AC. He's fixing the AC for one of the dog cages, one of the dog houses outside of the house. I guess they have AC for the dogs, which is hilarious. And while he's trying to fix it, he gets a note of Margeau. So he locks Margeau in there instead. That's the only Margeau we get on this episode, unfortunately. We do get George, though. We do get Mr. Miz. That kind of makes up for the lack of Margeau on this episode. So Maurice buys a new crib for their second baby, and that's kind of the theme of this episode, where they're getting more stuff, even though Miz brings up how we just had a kid, and the whole point of having a second kid is that you can reuse stuff from the first kid, but Maurice doesn't want to do that. She wants to buy an all-new crib for their second baby. So Miz doesn't really like that, because that means he's going to have to start getting rid of some of his old stuff. Maurice does not like his pinball machine being there, an old Guns N' Roses pinball machine, his golf cart, which was a big part of, I think, Season 1, if I remember correctly. He loves his Wrangler, his Jeep, which isn't exactly dad-friendly. Doesn't have to get rid of it, but Maurice brings up how it's not exactly the most family-friendly car, even though Miz likes it a lot. And Maurice does not want any of this stuff in the garage in the house anymore. She doesn't want this stuff collecting dust. She doesn't really understand why he keeps it around if he's not going to use it, that being the pinball machine and the golf cart and stuff like that. So we see Miz meet up at one of the WWE shows backstage with Mark Carrano, the head of talent relations, I believe. Mark Carrano has been all over Total Divas, Miz and Mrs. The guy is still there. So he meets up with Miz backstage about a potential project, which this episode is so old. I mean, it just aired last night, but you could tell it was taped like late last year, probably over a year ago at this point. And they do show a clip of Miz facing Baron Corbin on Raw in the King of the Ring tournament, which would have been from September of 2019. So if that's when this is from, then this was taped a long time ago, and it definitely means that the episodes were supposed to come out earlier this year. So anyway, Mark Carrano brings up a potential project, that being The Main Event. Not the show that airs on Hulu, but the Netflix movie that was announced at this point, that's already been out since March. The movie came out in March or April. It's been out for a long time now. I think it came out in April, right after WrestleMania. So Miz was approached about being in the movie here, even though it already came out 7 months ago, which goes to show how old this episode is and how how long ago it was taped. Miz loves to do it. He takes it as such a big deal. He wants to be in movies, and he emphasizes that a lot. Maurice really wants him to do the movie, and I'll get to why he can't do it in a second, or why he thinks he can't do it. But he sees it as a big step for his career. Even though it's a Netflix movie, but it's the main event. It's a kid's movie on Netflix. And it's not like he was the main star like he was in the Marine 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 12. He's like a random part of the movie. I haven't seen it yet. I still will watch it to review it here for the channel at some point. I heard it was decent, so I'll probably watch it eventually. I actually just finished watching The Big Show on Netflix. All of season 1, or the only season really, rather. And I'll probably put up that review at some point. It was a chore to get through, but I'll get to it eventually. So anyway, Miz doesn't know if he could do the movie because, not that he doesn't want to, but because Maurice is due around the time they would start filming for it. It's in about 2 weeks, and Maurice is really getting close to being due. She's really, really close. And the last time she went into labor for oh God, what's their first baby's name? Oh my God, I don't remember. But for their first child, she went into labor early, and they're thinking it might happen again. So Maurice is really far along. They go to the doctor to kind of get her opinion on something that Maurice is dealing with. That being that she's had trouble going to the bathroom recently. And the doctor brings up how that might be because you might be going into labor soon. And it's kind of a complication of being pregnant and whatever. But you might be going into labor early again. And Miz gets really nervous. It's like, oh man, that means I can't do the movie. And I won't do it because there's still a lot of stuff that has to get done, including building the crib and stuff like that. He doesn't know if he should do it, even though she really wants him to do it. So the other side story, again, is all the stuff that he has to get rid of in the house. Maurice tells him to just grow up, get rid of the car, get a new car, get rid of the crap in the house, and just grow up. She doesn't get it. I mean, they're a great couple, but she just doesn't get how he wants to keep some stuff that he really, really likes, and he brings that back up again at the end of the episode, which I'll get into later. So Miz actually catches Maurice drinking prune juice, and that becomes a big part of the episode, the complication she's having with going into the bathroom, and he looks up and he kind of makes fun of her for how drinking prune juice helps you go to the bathroom better and kind of clears up those issues, I believe. So George is actually brought in to help out with stuff that Miz can't do while he's gone, to go to TV for 2 days. So he brings in George in his absence to help build the crib, clean out the garage, stuff like that. Obviously a very bad idea. We love Mr. Miz, not exactly the most brightest bulb in the closet or the most productive. So that exactly doesn't go well. He tries to put together a crib without the directions, claiming the directions didn't come with it, even though they did. And you could see them right there in the shot, and they pointed out. And Maurice doesn't see them. But George didn't see the directions and attempted to put the crib together without the directions, and it didn't exactly come out well. He also attempts to clean out the garage. Also doesn't go well. She catches him reading a Playboy, which they censor out and you can't see, but Miz brings it up later and acknowledges how it wasn't just a Playboy magazine they had sitting in the garage, because why would they hold on to it? It's because it was Maurice's Playboy magazine that he was reading for, as he claimed, the nutritional articles about nutrition. And he didn't know it was her in there. That's what he said. It's really, really weird stuff. And she catches him reading it, too, which is even weirder. And she gets really like, why did you do that? And it's because she's on the cover naked. But anyway, she's like, I got to get rid of this crap. So she sells the pinball machine, the Guns N' Roses classic pinball machine, to George for $50. And the golf cart for $50. They got to get a U-Haul. They get all the crap out of there. So she sells his stuff without him knowing. Without Miz knowing. So he FaceTimes in to get some progress and update on what's going on. And, she's kind of still having the complications and whatever, still feeling constipated, as she says. But he's really upset that she sold his stuff. And he's going to deal with it when he gets home, which is exactly what happened. So Miz gets home a couple days later. And George being there makes Maurice appreciate how good of a husband Miz actually is and how much he actually does. Because George cannot do a lot. He's not very competent, apparently, at least how they portray him on the show. And she reiterates she really wants him to do the movie. So go do the movie. I'll be fine. I want this to be as evidence that I don't need anyone. I don't need you, even though I want you here to help me. But I don't need you here. I don't need George here. Marjot's there as well as Mrs. Mom, but she can handle it by herself. She wants him to go off and do the movie. So Miz, to get back at Maurice for the whole selling of his stuff thing, he goes to her closet and finds all the shoes and the pocketbooks and everything that she owns. And she catches him, and he goes, these are your toys. We're going to get rid of them. We don't need them. You haven't worn it at all. You haven't used this stuff. So why use them? Why have them? Those are my toys you want to get rid of? We're going to get rid of your toys. And she's like, okay, fine. We'll get your stuff back. You can keep your crap. Just don't touch my shoes. And he's like, okay. So when she said that she sold Mrs. stuff, she didn't tell him that she sold it to George. So Mrs. like, well, you just fucking with me this entire time? And she's like, no, I just wanted to get rid of it. And he's a really easy person to just sell stuff to because he doesn't ask for much. $50 is nothing. So anyway, Maurice, at the very end of the episode, we see her come downstairs. Miz isn't there. I don't think George is there. It seems like she's home alone, or one of the few people home. And she drinks the remedy that George has been talking about all episode. He goes, oh, your stomach's still hurting you? Try my remedy. It'll clear it right up. He brings that up at least 2 or 3 times. So she finally tries this remedy because she's still feeling really constipated and it's really bothering her. So she tries this remedy as kind of like a last resort type thing. And she immediately has to go to the bathroom. And when she gets out, she's like, oh, George, it worked. The remedy worked. I'm all cleared out and whatever, which is great. So kind of a gross way to end the episode, but it was funny nonetheless. So a good episode. Mr. Miz comes to the rescue, season 2, episode 7. Nothing noteworthy, nothing too must-see, as the Miz would say. But an enjoyable episode nonetheless, as I really missed Miz and Mrs. It's a very fun show. It's only half an hour long. If you watch it without commercials, it's like 22 minutes. And we're not getting just one, but rather 2 new episodes this week, between this one on Monday and the actual season premiere on Thursday. Technically, this was the season re-premiere, whatever, the season return. But they've really been hyping up the Thursday premiere date. So keep an eye out for that on Thursday. My review of that should be up either on, I don't think it's going to be up on Friday, maybe Sunday. I'm not too sure yet. It's going to be up one of these 2 days. I got to get to the Total Bellas reviews and the Miz reviews. Not exactly sure when that's going to be yet. It'll probably be soon after Thursday, though. It might not be until like the weekend or early next week, but I will be reviewing another episode, the next episode of Miz and Mrs. later on in the week or next week, whatever, and the return to Total Bellas, also on that same night. So it's going to be a busy review schedule going forward, but I'm looking forward to it nonetheless. So thank you guys, as always, for checking out my reviews of Miz and Mrs. and the rest of the WWE Network and Chill videos. Check out all my other Miz and Mrs. reviews dating back to Season 1 right here in the channel, in the description box down below, in the playlist entitled Miz and Mrs. Reviews. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more content. Have a great one, guys. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.